Okay, so today we're ready to start our brand new unit. I've got a 6 slide presentation here for y'all, including the title page. Might sounds very short, but it's gonna be a pretty long class today. I usually just put out all of these. I have notes for it. I will eventually go over the notes at the end of all the lessons. And remember, my what I'm saying right now is really close to the notes. So we're into the circulatory system, and many of us are familiar with the circulatory system. I mean, we probably did it in grade 5, something similar. So, humans, we have a closed circulatory system. The blood inside of our body is always somewhere in a vessel, a blood vessel, whether it's a capillary artery or veins. It's, as you can see on the right, the blood never goes out into your skin or somewhere. So many insects, that's just actually not the case. So instead of having like a closed blood vessel, their heart is just one heart, and then when the blood comes into the heart, it's like it splashes all into the body and everywhere, which doesn't look nice. And when you actually, if you accidentally step on one of these insects, the blood will fly out, and it's gonna look very disgusting. But anyways, so humans, we have very complex blood vessel networks. As you can see on the right, there's like billions of blood vessels and different arteries all that around your body, and it is important to understand the purpose of the circulatory system. So I already talked about that. So the circulatory system is there because we need to move nutrients. This includes oxygen, which is right here. This includes nutrients, which is transferred from your blood, and this is waste removal. Basically, we have to get rid of all the waste we breathe in. We produce carbon dioxide. Immunity, we have white blood cells that control uh, our body, and they're looking around to kill any stuff that they think is a potential damage to your body. Hormone distribution, we do not really talk that much about in this course because that's more of the grade 12 stuff. But another thing that I did not write down here is thermal regulations. Mammals, we highly require our blood temperature to control our body temperatures because we need to regulate so that we don't fall out of that range where eventually our body is going to go drop to a very low temperature or rise to an incredibly high temperature. Now, this is a simple picture of the heart right here. So this is the aorta. Aorta is actually the largest blood vessel in your entire body. It is responsible for moving blood everywhere. So you can see this is the left, the right is the left. This is because we're going to put ourselves into a diagram position. So right now, if you're looking at your laptop screen and you're looking at this diagram, you can turn around 180 degrees and look backwards, and then you're like, oh look, this is the left. So we will see that this diagram right here, it has every single part that we're going to need to remember, including the valves and all of that. There's a little bit more about other stuff, but it's lineable. So we have the ascending aorta, which is these three. Basically, you can picture your head up here and your legs. So these these ascending aorta, they're gonna distribute blood everywhere above your body, above your heart, obviously, and this is the descending aorta, and it's gonna distribute blood to everywhere below your heart. The vena cava, we have superior and inferior. So basically, whenever we have some blood at anywhere above the heart, the superior vena cava is gonna collect them from obviously a blood vessel, and they're gonna go all gather into the right atrium. And then the right atrium is going to go through this valve and go into the right ventricle. And the right ventricle is going to pump this blood into the pulmonary artery, which is those purple ones that you see here. Now, pulmonary arteries give blood to your lungs, and, well, obviously, the right one gives blood to your right lung, and your left one gives blood to your left lung. So, and then we have the pulmonary veins. We have two of them. Okay, not surprisingly, but we have two of them that's going to bring us back. Remember, this is very weird. This is a little bit, this part. This is the only time where an artery will actually carry deoxygenated blood. So remember, when I'm taking this blood back from anywhere around the body, the blood does not have any oxygen in it. So you can see here, you can memorize blue means no oxygen. And when it goes to the lungs, it's gonna take oxygen from the lungs and it's gonna carry veins back. But usually, when we have aorta that's dispensing blood away to the body, we will have arteries to move the blood away. So, but most of the time, when we have the pulmonary veins that go back to the left atrium, this is already oxygenated blood. So every blood that's actually coming out of the aorta, it's supposed to be oxygenated. There's obviously diseases that causes people to not get oxygenated blood, and eventually they will die because of it. So remember that these two are the exceptions. Vein will always carry deoxygenated blood except for the pulmonary veins. I just have to let you know that. And then the human heart always stays in the left and right. So what do I mean by that is that this thing is in a constant motion. It's not gonna roll around, spin a 360, spin a 180. It's not like that. It's gonna stay in one position. The left will always be the left, and the right will always be the right. And your it's a very equal four chambered heart. Not much animals has very equal four chambered heart. So and that's pretty much it. And then we have to talk about the beating time, the beating part. So, whenever you hear a heartbeat, many of us just hear bump, 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 bump. But that's actually not true. That's actually not true. We actually hear two bumps. It's usually da, something like that. And then, but you will know that basically it's the atrium is going to pump. It's going to squeeze the blood all the way into the ventricles. Remember, they do it at the same time. So when the left atrium squeezes in the blood into the left ventricle, the right atrium actually also squeezes. We have a better word for this. It's called compression. But you just have to understand this. But the second time, that is the larger one, is the ventricle because the atriums they don't have to pump the blood that far. They just have to pump it to like a little bit of distance. This is like not that long. It's like less than a millimeters. So they don't have to do it that hard. So it's a very small sound. It's like no, because the ventricles, this ventricle, left ventricle, has to pump blood to everywhere around the body. You know, you're going against gravity right here. That is a little bit hard, in my opinion. And right ventricle, you're pumping it to your lungs. Some of us, we don't have that big of a wingspan, so it's not that big of a distance away from my lungs, but it's still a long distance compared to this. And then we have to understand the valve. Valves are something that's very easy to understand. So when they're closed, they are just closed. No blood comes through. No blood is supposed to come through. These one have two different names: mitral valve and the tricuspid valve. There is also other names for it that you might learn from your teacher, which I believe is the left AV valve and right AV valve. But usually the teacher would love if you just call them by their actual name, which is mitral valve and tricuspid valve. So when these blood, they're gonna go through this valve and they're gonna go into their other path. So then we have the oxidized blood. You might be questioning, what's the difference between regular blood and oxidized blood? If you look at it visually, oxidized blood is a little bit more bright, a little bit more bright red, and the regular blood is a little bit darker. Now, I will talk about other beating mechanics in the next class because I don't want to make this class a whole lot difficult, but I wanted to talk about the circulation pathways because I feel like, this is something that we really, really emphasize on in this class. I mean, it's the heart, man. You got to understand what's going on. So, this is something I always emphasize. You have to know how your heart actually works. So, you can look at this slide and you can take a picture, take a screenshot, whatever. I'm going to go back to the heart image. I should have put it here. But so, let's say I am in the heart right now. I am a deoxygenated blood. I just came back from the lungs. So I just came back from the lungs. It doesn't matter which one I'm gonna come back from, whether it's the left or the right. I'm gonna all come into here to the left atrium. This is because I am oxygenated blood. I only go on the left, right here. And then as I go on the left, I'm gonna go into the ventricle because I have to. This is the only place I can go to. If I somehow move backwards, that is not good. We don't want to have blood in our lungs. That is not good. The left ventricle is gonna pump me all the way into the aorta, and then the aorta was gonna dispense me everywhere around the body, whether it's the head, your legs, arm, fingers, whatever. And then after I deliver my oxygen, I'm gonna get back from the vena cava, whether it's the superior or the inferior. I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna come here. Remember that. Look at this. This is like the tube from the inferior vena cava, and they're all going to collect into the right atrium. And then in the right atrium, I cannot go anywhere. I have to go here, the right ventricle. And then the right ventricle is going to pump me back into the lungs. And then this process continues and continues and continues. That's why it's the circulatory system. And with that said, that finished our class with only 6 slides. I will be giving out the full note on the last video of the circulatory system, which is going to be around 3 lessons away.